I've got something fun and different for you today. We've all heard about Christmas in July, but have you heard about Halloween in May? I'm calling it Mayloween. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Leslie, and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today I have for you 5 super cute Halloween themed decor ideas that are sure to bring the kid out in all of us. Now, don't forget to stick around until the very end and I'll have a hint on one of next week's projects. So, let's get started on Mayloween crafting.
Here's a quick sneak peek into all 5 of today's projects. I am so excited to bring these to you. And that will bring us to project number 1. Look at this cute little ghosty. So we are going to be using the rope from the Dollar Tree. Now this is their nautical rope in the white. Actually, these are kind of an off-white color. And I had to pick up an extra one and it was white. And then we're also going to be using foam board. So you just want to create enough of a head on this so that you've got all the little dangly pieces. So you can see I just laid it out on top of the foam board and drew around it. And now I'm just using a utility knife to cut that out. And then I've got these are really cool cardboard scissors. I love them. Bought them on Amazon and I will have them linked below. They make cutting through cardboard like super easy and great investment. And now I am going to go ahead and I took that one piece of nautical rope and I actually cut it into 2 pieces, and we're going to use the first piece as our kind of our outside edge. And I'm just going to add some hot glue around the outside edge and get that glued down. Now, if you didn't know this, just an FYI, Dollar Tree actually carries 2 thicknesses of this nautical rope. This is the thicker thickness, and the other one is thinner. And I thought I had enough because I had, some thin and some thick, but you can't really mix those, the thicknesses. It just didn't look right. And so I had to go out and buy another pack. And the new nautical rope that I bought is actually more white than this. Now, I don't know if it will discolor over time and turn into the right color, but anyway, we're going to take these pieces of nautical rope and glue them down, making sure that they're kind of about the same length on the bottom all the way around. That will reduce the amount of waste in cutting it. And here you can see this one is significantly wider. And so what I'm going to do is I was going to just, leave it with what we had. And then I had an extra piece to just go in the center and cut, but I wanted that one white piece to not be so lonely. So I'm going to add another piece on the very outside edge of that foam cardboard from the Dollar Tree. Now, because you only had to use that one little piece, if you just have a scrap, that'll work. And we just want something to glue all our pieces to, and also something that gives it a little bit of sturdiness. That's why I liked that white foam board. And now we are going to unravel this. It unravels into thirds. And once we get all that done, I'm going to use a straight edge to kind of give me a straight line. Now, be careful when you do this because those edges kind of get frayed up and it looks shorter than it really is. But if you run your fingers through it, you can actually see it's a little bit longer. Now, I had some cotton twine and I am going to use that to make a hanger. If you don't want your hanger showing, you can affix something to the back side of that foam board, and then you'll be able to hang it without being, seeing it. And then I grabbed a little bit of this black felt to cut out 2 eyes and a mouth. You could also use that crafty foam in black or black fabric, whatever you have on hand. And then I found this cute little pumpkin left over from last year's fall decor, and I cut the little stem off. I'm just going to glue the eyes and the mouth on with a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm going to grab 3 lengths of the nautical rope untwisted from either side, and those are going to be kind of the arms that will hold this little pumpkin. And then I'm going to glue it together so that it forms kind of like a little cradle for my little pumpkin to sit in. You can use whatever color pumpkin you have, or if you have something else that's Halloween themed, you could also put that in the hands. And then I just grabbed a little bit of ribbon that matched my pumpkin and formed a little bow and put that on top. And isn't this little ghostie so cute? Look at her just hanging here. I just am obsessed with how adorable this is, and so super simple and easy. And I think I only used 4 of the lengths of the nautical rope from Dollar Tree and that little bit of foam board. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below.
I just wanted to pop in here real quick and say thank you. I appreciate the time that you spend with me each week. Now, if you're not a regular subscriber, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below to help my channel grow. Give today's video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and comment below. Now, let's get back to crafting.
And that'll bring us to project number 2. I love this one so much. I think it turned out super cute. Did you know that you can buy sea glass at Dollar Tree? Well, I found some and grabbed a couple of packs, and we're going to use some of that today along with one of these little glass frames. And of course, I went shopping in my outdoor store for a little twig. So I'm going to take that little raised piece off of the back, and then I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock to cover up that little cardboard piece. Then I grabbed a utility scraper and scraped off all those words and cleaned my glass up. Now we're back to that little piece of cardstock, and we are going to cut out a square so we can glue it right on. Now I'm using that Elmer's school glue, the purple glue. It sticks really well, and I love the fact that I can tell exactly how much of it I've got on there and make sure that I've gotten all of the area covered. That's very helpful to me. I hate when you miss an area and then, things just don't stick. And so that purple glue, perfect for that. Once I've got enough on there, then we'll just flatten that cardstock right on and move on to the next step. I'm going to look through my white pieces of sea glass in here, and I'm going to grab one that looks kind of ghosty shaped and kind of measure my twig on there. Then I will cut it down so that it is the perfect size to fit. And that's the reason why I picked this particular frame, because it had a little gap between the glass and the frame piece that my stick fit right in, along with these pieces of sea glass. Now I grabbed one of those blue colors, and we're going to use that as kind of the moon in the background. And then this green one, we are going to paint a little pumpkin on there. So first I'm starting with my Waverly chalk paint in the pumpkin shade, and I'm going to kind of paint out this shape of a pumpkin on this little piece. So you just want something that's kind of roundabout, that has something that looks like a stem-ish kind of look to it. And once we've gotten that pumpkin all filled in, then I am going to set that aside and let that dry for a minute. Grabbing my black paint pen, I'm going to paint some eyes on my little ghostie. And now we're going to come back in and add a couple of little leaves onto our pumpkin. Now with glass, when you're painting, you want to just dab it on there. You don't want to, really do a brush stroke, because otherwise it comes off just as fast as you're putting it on. And then I grabbed some truffle colored and added a little stem and a little outline for my little pumpkin pieces. Now I'm going to use my Gorilla Hot Glue and glue those pieces down onto that cardstock and put this back in the frame, and voila, that's all there is to it. Look at this, so adorable yet simple and cute, and something that just everybody can do. And that will bring us to our next project number 3. This is my favorite of the video. I am in love with this little Frankenstein. We're going to be using 2 of those terracotta pots and the 4-inch. Are they 4-inch? Yes, it's 4-inch across, and then 2 that are 1-inch across. And we're going to be painting those with some Waverly chalk paint in the color celery. And then we're going to paint the other one. It's an acrylic purple color. Then we're going to come back in with some black to make some hair.
It's Banana. Everybody say hi to Banana.
I was fortunate enough to have my granddaughters this weekend, and that was Addie making a voice appearance on our video this week. So once we've gotten the black set on the top ridge, we're going to go back in with a more detailed brush, or you can use a paint marker, whichever works for you, and create some actual hair pieces. I didn't like the kind of fuzzy lines I had, so I did end up going back in with that paint marker after all. And now we're going to use the paint marker to draw on our face. So some little eyebrows and a little Frankenstein scar and a little mouth. And we'll fill those in. Now the white paint marker wasn't quite giving the eyeballs the look that I wanted. So I did go back in with some Snow White paint by Waverly to kind of fill in and give those eyeballs a little brightness to them. I love those paint markers. They make such a cool line. I need to get some that are a little bit thinner though. I would have liked to have a little bit thinner eyebrows on there. But anyhow, we're going to go back in and paint in some eyeballs, and then we'll put some little highlights on the eyeballs and give our little Frankenstein a little personality. And then we are going to go in and make our stitches in purple, and we'll just use that same acrylic purple that we used on the bottom half of Frankenstein's body. So once we've got that done, we'll set all that aside. And with Banana watching on, we're going to grab a little pencil and kind of draw on a little jacket. And that way I can kind of figure out where I want the lines before I go in with my paint marker. And we're also going to draw in a little patch on there for his little shirt. Now we're going to come back in with our paint marker and add in those details for that jacket, some little buttons, a little collar on there. And I think that looks so sweet. Banana is leaving now, and Sweet Pea is joining us. That is my other granddaughter's little puff pal. And I think I ended up with both of them sitting on my crafting table while I was finishing up Frankenstein's shirt. So we're going to just come in back in with some of that pumpkin color we used earlier by Waverly. And we are going to paint in a little Frankenstein shirt. And I did just avoid that little purple area where I outlined for the patch to go. And we're going to paint that green. So we bring all our colors back in. That adds some consistency to our project. I love the way this is coming together. Then we'll hit our paint marker again and put on some little stitches on our patch there. And once we've gotten that done, we are ready to start gluing this together. So I'm going to grab my Gorilla Glue. You grab your whatever glue you're using, super glue, E6000, whatever, and a little bit of hot glue for an instant hold. And then I got this little bowl from the Dollar Tree and spray painted it black. Now I'm figuring out where I want the hands to go, because that's what these little 1-inch pots are going to be. Those are going to be the hands. And I have some of this, it's kind of like purple with a little green tingy kind of mesh tube from Dollar Tree. Now I just bought this. I know we were crafting our stash this year, but when I saw it, I couldn't not have it. It just looked so perfect with this. Anyway, grabbed the mesh tube and I put a little dab of hot glue onto the end of it so that I could kind of squish it together and make it threadable. And then added some knots and put that inside our pot. Now I'm figuring out where I am going to put my second hand on there, and then gave it a little mark with my marker just so that I knew where to put it back. And I am going to fold that over. That's why I made his arm so long. So keep that in mind when you get ready to cut for your second piece. And I just did the same thing on the other side, grabbing a little bit of hot glue to make that thread through that little hole. A little bit of Gorilla Glue, a little bit of hot glue, and we're going to secure those on. Once we've gotten those secured on, we are going to add some more Gorilla Glue onto the top of our pot with some additional hot glue for that quick hold. And then we'll glue that plastic bowl right on top. Look at that. Now I'm going to glue off the end so it doesn't fray, and then add it next to the other piece with some hot glue. And then we're going to add just a teeny dab of hot glue along that mesh tube to glue the two pieces together, and that will make the length that will be Frankenstein's little arm. I am so loving the way this is turning out. I was just so excited to see how this is going to be finished out. And even though I don't pass out candy on Halloween, I do like to have candy in a bowl for my grandkids when they come visit. So we'll put this out for the holiday season. Then I just grabbed another dab of hot glue and glued his arm to his body and did that for both sides. And look at little Frankenstein. Isn't he just so adorable with that little kind of smirky look on his face? He's not real happy about having to hold this bowl over his head, but I am loving the way this turned out. Let me know in the comments below what you think of him. The cool thing with this project is you can customize those paint colors to whatever matches your decor. And that brings us to project number 4. We are going to go shopping in our outdoor store again for some branches. These are a little bit bigger than twigs. Some branches that have some really nifty little alternate pieces to them. You know, the kind that just have lots of little branches, lots of little twigs sticking off. So I went through and just grabbed a vase that I had in the house, and I am just cutting down all these little twigs and fitting them inside that vase. And then I took my Cricut and cut out a bunch of different bats, different sizes, different poses. And we're just going to dab a hot glue on there and just glue them all over our little branches. This one is just that simple. Anybody can do it. Now, if you don't have a cutting tool, you could just, cut out just plain old bats. They don't have to be the fancy bats. They could just be, construction paper or cardstock and a bat shape. And then I grabbed one of these little fairy lights, and I'm going to wrap that around the bottom. That'll kind of give it a little glow at nighttime. And that is the extent of this project. Look at that in there. I just love the way that just gives off that nice little glow. And here it is, all finished. I probably could have cut out a few more bats and glued them on there, but I just love the way this turned out. and hardly any money at all, just things that really I had already here. Didn't cost me a thing. Now, if you don't want to do bats, you could also do this same kind of project using white cardstock and making little ghosties and hanging the ghosts from the trees. Which would you guys do, ghosts or bats? And that brings us to project number 5. It's another little ghost and another little super simple one. So I had this cloche from Dollar Tree in my craft supplies, and leftover pillow that I've been using pillow fiber out of, and we're just going to stuff that little cloche with the pillow fiber. Then I have this black and white ribbon that I bought on clearance from somewhere, and we're just going to make a sweet little bow out of that. I started using those string pieces that were cut off from the ribbon, and I tied my bow together with that. It's just an awareness type ribbon shape, I guess, but I didn't like the way that held it together, and so I did end up adding a piece of wire to it just to give it a little bit more sturdiness, but I spent a lot of time trying to fluff this bow out and make it look the way I wanted it to make, and I think if I'd just used wire to start with, I probably wouldn't have fussed with it so much. And I was trying to dovetail the end there. I'm not sure if you guys caught that, but I did it backwards. So I'm gonna refashion my bow here, make that piece a little bit longer so that I can actually dovetail it. And I'll dovetail the other side as well, and then set that aside, and we'll glue that on here in a minute. Then I'm going to grab some of that scrap felt that I was working with earlier, and I'm going to make 2 eyeballs and a mouth out of this, and then glue those on there, and that is all there is to this project. Super, super simple. I let you guys see, my little OCD got in the way of gluing this together. I had to bring out my handy dandy desk vac and clean up my workspace. And we'll glue that bow on there, and look at this. So cute and so simple. Anyone can do this. I promise any one of you could do this. And look at that little ghostie. I think she is just so stinking cute. You know, I think of ghosts kind of like Halloween snowmen. They are just my favorite. What do you guys think? We are going to have a final look at all of today's projects. Let me know in the comments below which one or ones are your favorite, or which one or ones you would like to try to recreate for your Halloween decor. Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you do make any of these projects, or you have other projects you have made, I love to see you guys' creations and recreations. So email me pictures to happytuesdaydiy@gmail.com. I love to see your projects.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really had a great time bringing you Halloween. Now, since you stuck around with me till the very end, here's your hint on one of next week's projects. You are going to need a cutting board. I bought this one at Ross for $6. And your torch paste. But until then, make it a great day and happy Tuesday!